Hi, and welcome to the inaugural launch of Let Me Interrupt You, a woman's perspective in today's workplace podcast. I'm your co host, Melissa Finch.
And I'm your other co-host, Cindy Mendez Hernandez.
We're super glad you're here with us today.
This is a really special day because it's our first podcast. We came up with this idea not too long ago, and because it's 2022 and we just went over the craziest 2 years of my life. I don't know about your life, Melissa, but yeah, I think this is just a really good place where we want to talk about the real issues that are affecting women in the workplace.
Yeah, and Cindy, you really bring up a really good point there. We have just emerged outside the other end of a pandemic, and I think the workforce, most importantly, women, have really been pushed to the limits as far as challenges in the workplace, what their expectations are from their employer, and ultimately just rediscovering their self and what they're ultimately looking for from their employer.
Yeah, so one of the things that we really want to do on this podcast is have a very real conversation with each other and with other professional women that have experienced these workplace issues and really peel the layers and see what are people really experiencing. I have seen in the last couple years a lot of topics emerge, but they in a way feel a little unreachable or unrealistic. I almost can't relate to those things because I would be afraid to lose my job or to make a change in this very significant way that not everybody may be on board with. So I think this would be a good place to get a realistic view of what is really happening and what are some actionable real steps that you, the everyday person, can do to improve your workplace relationships, your own personal well-being.
No, I agree 100% with you. And I think that so many of us today do have those like innate fears to kind of speak up or put forth issues that they're experiencing in the workplace. And you bring up a great point. Most folks are okay just following along with the norm. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to risk losing their job. Maybe you're a mother such as myself, who's a single parent, who is the only provider for their family, and or a whole myriad of reasons why people don't want to speak up and raise these issues that we commonly see in today's workforce. But I can't think of a better time than now to begin a podcast like this and actually do a deeper dive into some of the issues that we likely all are experiencing.
In case you're wondering why we chose Let Me Interrupt, I will just kind of give you a snippet of one of those perspectives just from a woman in the workplace. I think as I experience different relationships, and some of us may experience those relationships, you may find yourself having to dig to take place and have your voice heard. And that is kicked off with sometimes interrupting people, sometimes disrupting the norm, right? Not following the polite, I'm going to sit quietly until it's my turn to talk. No, it's time for us to interrupt everything and have our voice be heard. And so I think that's why we really loved the name Let Me Interrupt for the podcast.
Yeah, and Cindy, I just want to pick up where you're going with this, but I really think there's value in making people uncomfortable when we talk about some of the things that we'll be discussing on this podcast series.
I completely agree. And at times you are uncomfortable yourself having this discussion. So it may not just be making the room or the listeners feel uncomfortable. And we don't want to say that you're going to feel fully uncomfortable at all times, but there will be some things that internally you may have not thought about that we want to kind of start getting those thoughts processing and those ideas and have you hear other perspectives in different situations, because sometimes you can get locked into that one place where you are in your mind, in your life, and it's really hard to step out of the box and see what others are doing, especially when it comes to work life. We spend so much time connected to our jobs, in some cases more time with our jobs than our own families. So this is truly a crucial necessity.
Agreed, 100%. And really, with Let Me Interrupt, it's really our goal to bring you that raw, unedited dialogue where we're going ahead and putting names on things. We're exposing these issues that we face. We want to bring you like quality content. We have a strong desire to have Let Me Interrupt lend a voice and real, raw, unedited, free flowing dialogue.
So get ready and make sure to subscribe to our podcast. It is going to be available, and it is now available as you're listening to it on all of the podcast channels, platforms that you can think of. And we're going to commit to at least getting an episode out once a week. But in the meantime, I think, I kind of want to close out this intro and tell you a little bit about ourselves and, where we come from, who are we, and why are we even licensed to talk. Melissa, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure, Cindy. So I'm Melissa Finch, and I am presently coming to you on this podcast series from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm originally from the East Coast, originally from Virginia. I am a seasoned career professional. I worked many years, at least 2 decades, in the healthcare industry as a nurse. And presently, I still work within the healthcare industry, just not with a hands-on clinical focus. I am a mom to a soon to be college student, and I am a lover of all things animals. If it's got 4 legs, then great. I am very much in love with my chocolate lab daughter, Reese, and she is likely always by my side when we're doing these recordings. And so, yeah, that's a little bit more about me. I'm a lifelong learner. I consider myself to be one that raises, the questions when questions need to be raised. I always seek to find answers and solutions to common problems that we see in the workplace. So yeah, I'm here and keeping it real with you guys.
Awesome. And truly, it has been an honor to meet Melissa. We actually met a year and a half now, maybe a year. And I have to say, not only is Reese the most adorable, lovable, huggable looking pup I've ever seen, but let me tell you a little bit about me. So I am also a mom, a new mom. I think it's still a new mom if we're still under the 2 year range. And I was actually born in Guatemala City and I moved to the United States early on in early childhood. And I've been working in healthcare for a while. I moved around with a couple different industries. I've been in the research industry. I've been in the finance industry. I've done retail. I've sold wedding dresses. So I have a really good variety of experience in different types of workspaces. And I also have 2 small pups, all both under 15 pounds combined. I have a Brussels Griffon and a Chihuahua. And I am in Maryland, living the best life that we could live with my husband and my 1.5-year-old.
Yeah, and I can attest that Cindy has a lovely family. Her son is a spitting image of her with the biggest, most beautiful eyes. And Cindy's a great mom. And I truly admire her perseverance as she's continued to rise the echelon within her own professional development. Again, just not willing to take no for an answer. And again, stepping towards some of these things that we're going to be discussing over the next several series. But it has been, I consider myself just as fortunate to know Cindy and really looking forward to co-hosting this opportunity with her and to reach out to you all, our listeners. So we're really excited to have you here. This is new for Cindy and I, but we really do want to lend a voice for things that are really impacting you today in today's workforce, especially from a woman's perspective. So grab your cozy pajamas, grab your cozy blanket, pull up a chair, hop on the treadmill, pop your earbuds in, give us a listen. Feel free to share your comments, feedback, if there's anything you want us to focus on. We're interested in hearing from you, our listeners, as we curate our content and get our guests in line to speak to some of the things that you yourself are facing in the workplace.
And as we embark on this journey, we're super excited to take you along. I think the number one thing that you can do to get ready to sail along with us is just subscribe to this podcast. We're available on all platforms, so you feel free to share with anyone who you might think would be interested in listening to this and benefiting from this.
We've really enjoyed having you here today. So signing off our first Let Me Interrupt You podcast inauguration, and we'll see you on the next episode.